The UK economy recorded the fastest growth in the G7, the Conservatives have triumphantly tweeted. Where do I even start with this bollocks? As always with this lot, it's best to read the small print. Our economy grew by 4% in 2022. Well, it might technically be true when comparing the growth in annual GDP between 2022 and 2021, but in 2021 the UK economy was still impacted by the pandemic. So not only is it not a very useful way of assessing economic growth, the UK is the only G7 country in which the economy actually remains smaller than it was before the pandemic. And the government will fall off its chair when it finds out when comparing quarter-on-quarter growth in 2022, the UK is actually amongst the worst performing in the G7. And from there it continues to get worse.
We see the UK pretty close to the bottom of the league table in terms of the forecast for economic growth, particularly in 2023. So the UK essentially sees no growth at all, and the only country that was worse than the UK was sanctioned Russia.
The simple fact is 12 years of Conservative government has given us the highest inflation in 40 years, the highest taxation since the Second World War, the biggest drop in living standards since records began, and average wages falling at their fastest rate for more than 2 decades. And guess who was running the economy for almost 3 of those years?
You were Chancellor until a few weeks ago. UK growth is set to be the worst in the G20 besides Russia. Another study says we will go from 18th to 31st out of 38 OECD countries. Members here see their pound shrinking, probably as fast as they see their high streets closing.
And here's current Chancellor Jeremy Hunt's assessment of the present state of the UK.
The price of the weekly shop, if you look at food prices, has gone up by about 16%. And for the poorest families, the things they typically buy have gone up by even more. The Bank of England's inflation target is 2%, but currently inflation is about 10%. More expensive food, fuel.
Well, that's all quite an achievement. And again, I'll point this out every day if I have to. It all comes on top of a decade of soaring food banks, poverty, homelessness, falling life expectancy and wage stagnation under successive Conservative governments. Never underestimate just how thick this lot think we all are.